Hi, everybody, and welcome back. My name is Melissa, and this year I'm sharing 365 tips for frugal living. So, I've seen it in Illinois too, but in Florida, produce is expensive. I've noticed that with produce, grocery stores have two choices. Either A, they sell it cheap so that they can move a large quantity and have less spoilage, or B, they sell it more expensive so that they can account for the spoilage and not take the loss. Either way, they're not taking a loss, but one, you're paying more, and the other, you're paying less. So, sorry, in Illinois, where I live, they tend to do the, I don't know, former letter. I can't remember which order I did it in. They tend to do the sell it cheaper so that they move more quantity and don't have as much waste. And in Florida, they did the opposite. They had higher prices to account for the, I'm sorry, my hair's all. They had higher prices to account for the loss. And I didn't like that method so much. So I would go to the farmer's market, but another place where I would frequently find produce, and again, I have seen it in Illinois, but I haven't really gotten a lot of produce in Illinois at doing this, but it's also because I don't go to flea markets as much in Illinois. But in Florida, a lot of the time, if you go to the flea market, and if you're in Lee County, I used to go to like the one in Fort Myers. I think it's called Flea Masters, but they would frequently have people there who sold produce, and it was frequently cheaper than if you're going to go to Publix or something. Um, so it's not necessarily what you think of. I know I was also watching something in somebody was talking about like the street people in New York. I guess they're like in New York City. I guess there's like people who have like crates of produce that they sell, and you can get it a lot cheaper than if you go to the bodega or whatever. But start looking at places like it's produce, and as long as there's not like so much of a health issue, I mean it's not that big of a deal. What's the difference between a guy who's got a basic crate or a woman who's got like the fancy crates at a farmer's market? I mean, if the produce isn't spoiled, go for it. Don't let the looks of it all deceive you. So I've gotten produce at flea markets, at farmers markets, at obviously grocery stores, uh, random corners. It used to be a much bigger thing, um, where farmers would just like kind of set up like random little stands at random corners and sell stuff. Oh my god, best strawberries I think I have ever had my entire life. I was in central Illinois. I can't even remember. It was for work for something. I was in sales at the time. And I got, they had like, remember the little green plastic things for strawberries like they had back in the day? He had those, and I got like 6 of them for $5 or something. They were so incredibly sweet because they were like picked at peak ripeness. They were absolutely amazing. So when you're looking for produce, don't just assume you have to go to the grocery store. Think outside of the box. Look at places like farmers markets, flea markets, corner stands. Like, start getting to know those places so that you can know where has the cheapest produce. And you know what? You may walk in and you may be like, oh no, there are bugs. That produce is rotten. I am not getting my produce here. And that's fine. I'm not saying buy rotten produce, but just because that stand is absolutely terrible doesn't mean the next stand is going to be. So Give them all a shot. Start looking around. Find different local options. You also might be lucky and get some local produce that way. Maybe you just get a discount. But I'm in a highly competitive area. I can go to the grocery store and get produce cheap. I can find some sort of produce cheap any day of the week. I got corn for 10 cents a ear. We got, I think watermelons were like $3 last week. Lemons and limes were a quarter each. We got blueberries were 99 cents. I'm trying to think what else. We get a lot of cheap produce at our grocery stores here because there's a lot of competition. But in Florida, that wasn't the case. So in Florida, we would do a lot of farmers markets, flea markets, you know, outside of the box thinking. So check out those places. Find your place. Find your flea market or your farmers market or your roadside stand. Find the place where you're going to get cheap produce. Anyways, again, my name's Melissa, and this year I'm sharing 365 tips for frugal living. If you want to hear more, please hit like and subscribe. I'll see y'all tomorrow.